He's a guy without a clue who doesn't know what to do. Republican or Democrat, he's not sure where he's at. It's not so much fun knowing how the country's run. Liberals, conservatives, House of Representatives. Are you right? Are you left? Which way do you lean? Who knows what the hell does that even mean?
Welcome to POV America with your host, Brian.
Hey guys, good evening, welcome, happy Wednesday, hump day I guess. What a day already, I'll tell you. I don't know if you got a chance to join on the morning drive where I kind of went off a little bit about the diet that I'm on, this Atkins diet. Very happy with so far. I know one of the guys I watch a guy named Barnacles, and he's doing a keto diet, not for me. It's a little too strict. It's a little more aggressive, a little harder, I guess, than the Atkins. So, but I've been very, very fortunate. I was over 300. I think when I weighed in on the first, it was 304. I actually wrote it down. I had to, find my piece of paper, but it was 304 when I weighed in, and I reweighed myself this Monday. Which was like 7 days later, and I was down to 289. So it works for me. It's one of those diets that really work. So I mean, if you were one of those that had your New Year's resolution and said I'm going to lose weight, I looked at all the different diets, and that was one of the things that I really truly I put a lot of time into finding out which one was going to be the best for me, because I didn't want a diet. I didn't want something that was considered a diet. I wanted something that was more of a lifestyle, just a change of the lifestyle. Choose a little bit different things that I'm eating in that. And this particular, the Atkins is really just that. It's just a change of the lifestyle. I'm doing away with some of the sugars, things I don't want. So it's actually worked out really well. 7 days, I'm well on my way. 7 pounds, or let me see, from 304 to 289. It's a lot in just a week, and I feel lighter. I feel better. I mean, now all I got to work on is getting the sleep, trying to get more than 3 hours or sleep, 2-3 hours of sleep. Last night was terrible. I mean, I was up, way later than I should have been, 1:30, and maybe I dozed off at 2. I mean, I really don't know. It was a lot. Man, it was just a lot longer of a night than I thought it was going to be, and it just kind of drug on. Then when I finally closed my eyes, the alarm clock went off, so I was like, wow, what the hell? And then I went into work today, and I thought today was going to be one of those days that was just long and drawn out, and yeah, it wasn't. It went super fast. I had a lot to do. I had like 20 computers I had to get re-imaged, get them back on the network. I had to my server, actually, when it crashed, the storm, the hurricane we had, I lost a lot of stuff on my server, and so I had to re-image my server, and I actually had to, it blew out what was called Hyper-V. I had a virtual server running on a server, and it blew that all out. I had to redo all that, redo my Gort, my Ghost, just a lot of pain in the ass things happened. But the nice part was today was just one of those days I was just cranking along, moving along, getting everything done, and time flew by. So I woke. I actually just got up a little while ago. I came home and I was so exhausted. I came home, made some wings, had some wings for dinner, and then I laid down, and it was just like. And that was all I remembered until, of course, I did what I don't know if you guys have, I've said it before, I have these devices, Alexa, well, I should say my son has them, but we cheat, we use them. But these Alexa, Alexa, what are they called? Little discs that we have hang on the wall. That. Oh, see here, watch this. Listen to this, check this out. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 7:11 p.m.
Isn't that cool? Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. President Trump walked out of a meeting with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer today after Pelosi said no to an offer to have the government shut down if Congress approves funding for his border wall. Pelosi afterwards said the president is wrong about his claims. The situation there requires construction.
Wow.
But the president is
Alexa,
claiming to be
stop. But that, it's cool. So this is what I ended up setting an alarm. You know, before I went to take a nap, I said, just told her to set an alarm for me and for about 6:30. That way I could get at least just a little sleep. But she's like the coolest thing. I'm actually going to order some more. But she can do things like lighting. I mean, I can tell. Watch this, Alexa, turn off the living room light.
okay.
Isn't that cool? Alexa, turn on the living room light.
Okay.
See, so she can do not just that. She turn your lights on, adjust your thermostat, kind of whatever you get her set up to do. She'll do. It's really. I mean, I play with it all the time. It's like, okay, Alexa, what's the weather?
Currently, in Panama City Beach, it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies. Tonight, you can expect mostly clear skies with a low of 37 degrees.
It's cool. If I wanted to order a pizza, she can order a pizza for me. If I want her to tell me how the traffic is to work, she'll tell me that. I mean, I don't know if these things are like $39 now. They're cheap on their Amazon, and I have more fun with it. And I made fun of the guy who first showed it to me was a guy at work. He was telling me that he had one. He was telling me about it. I made fun of him. I says, hey, so if you need to get and pay $59 to have some woman tell you what the time is and everything, that's funny, And I made a joke out of it, and well, then my son got one, and now I'm like, I tell her, hey, you set a timer, or like if I'm running out of something, I'll say, hey, add this to my grocery list. You got to say her name to activate her, but I don't want to say it or she'll be activated. But I can say things like, if I need, let's say there's something I need specific for the next time I go to the store, because it'll be texted to my phone and everything. I can say, I'll just do what I'll say, Alexa, add soap to my shopping list.
I added soap to your shopping list.
See, that is the coolest. And then you'll get a little text with your list, so you don't forget it and everything. So that was, when I got home, went ahead and took a nap, and I just kind of laughed about it because I was going, this is pretty cool. She wakes me up when I need her to wake me up, and it's like having a personal assistant, but just can't physically do anything. Like if I tell her to make me a sandwich, she can't make me a sandwich. Alexa, make me a sandwich.
Okay, you're a sandwich.
And she has a sense of humor. I don't know if you got that. I told her to make me a sandwich. She said, okay, you're a sandwich. I mean, she has a sense of humor, too. I mean, it's kind of programmed into her, that AI that they use to kind of keep her. You can have her tell you a joke. If you want to hear a joke, she'll tell you a joke. Alexa, tell me a joke.
What happens when Dwayne Johnson and a pig give you a hug? You're stuck between the rock and a lard place.
Oh, see, now that was really bad. I mean, that was a bad joke. I don't know if you heard it. It says, what do you do when Dwayne Johnson and a pig give you a hug? You're stuck between a rock and a lard place. Terrible. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I have to put up with, but it's really a cool little device. Like I said, I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to go to CES. This was my, I had actually kind of planned it in the back of my head. I was figuring out how much it would be for my round trip ticket, and I wanted to go for like 4 or 5 days. I had, and I knew it was coming up this month, so I had vacation time, and I was kind of really looking forward to going, and nothing. I couldn't go. So kind of disappointed there, but the cool part about it is I know that, like I said, the guy I watched, Barnacles, he's there, I think, or he's streaming from there. He's going to be there. So the cool part is all the good technology things. I know he's a huge buff too. He's a huge technology buff, so I know that he's going to do awesome job kind of bringing back a snapshot of all the tech that's there. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab a little of my Nectar of the Gods, my Mountain Dew here. Oh, it's been crazy. I I don't know, for those of you that have watched the stream, you know I'm a dog person. I mean, we had a golden retriever for 14 years. I'm a dog person by nature, but we got stuck with 2 cats. One was my son's and one was my daughter's. And of course, you know how it is. We get stuck with them. You know, the mom and dad usually get stuck with them. But, and this one cat is, listen. I don't know if you can hear. Well, sometimes he's upstairs. Something's wrong with him mentally. This cat thinks he's a dog. He's a cat dog, I guess. I don't know. He thinks he's a dog. He wants to go out for walks. You got to take it. My wife had to get him a little harness thing, and she'll like take him for a walk. He likes to go in the truck, go for car rides, and look. He has no fear of anything, because the lady who originally owned this cat, she was in an elderly care facility, and she passed away, and gave the cat to my son, who subsequently we ended up with it here. And it's one of those things where he was, from the time this cat was born and a kitten, all it was done, it was babied by everybody at this elderly care facility and babied by the lady who owned it. And then when she passed away, she gave it to my son. And of course, the cat has never known anything other than, you know, no fear of cats or dogs or anything. I mean, it's just, even a vacuum. Most cats, if you run a vacuum and they're laying on the carpet or something, they jump up and they freak out. No, not this cat. He'll look at you like, what the hell are you doing? Can't you see him trying to sleep here? I mean, he's just... Listen. Hold on. I don't know if you can hear him in the background, but he'll sit there. He hates it. See, I think he figures out that I hate cats, and I think that because of that, he torments me, because he wants to constantly be babied by me. And he'll come up, and if I'm kicked back in the chair, I'm watching television or something, he wants to come up and just lay on me. And he knows I hate cats. So I just kind of laugh, and I'm like, you know, this is the thanks I get. I have dogs my entire life, and then I end up with 2 cats. And he'll just... Hold on. Just kind of... I thought I heard him, but... You know, this is... today just has been a crazy day, all day long. So I get home, and I have to put up with this cat, and I have to put up, you know, trying to get some sleep, and just... And I wonder, I'm like, you know, this is why I only get 3 hours of sleep, because my day, just crazy stuff every day goes on. Hang on one sec. I don't know if you can hear. Man. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning out. I got some emails. I went and checked my emails last night, and I didn't check them yet today. But I got an email about, I guess, on one of my streams, I mentioned that I loved business, and I really liked it. You know, I owned a lot of different businesses, and I had restaurants, business center. I had a computer company with like 8 stores. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I've really enjoyed being an entrepreneur. I've got websites that I've started and I've designed. I've got a software company, development company now that I've started. I've got a lot of cool things that I've been playing with, and I've been very fortunate to do these very inexpensively, if not free. I mean, and I've got an email from someone that was wanting to start a business, and he was having a problem raising money, and I read this like 8-page email, which he was talking about everything he's went through, trying to go through banks, trying to go through friends and relatives, and wanting to do looking on doing Kickstarters. And he tried Indiegogo and Kickstarter and GoFundMe, and he's tried all these different things, and he wants to start a restaurant, you know. And I'm reading everything. This guy is funny. I mean, I wanted to read the email on the air. I just kind of want to read it, read it while I was streaming. But he put in there, do not read this. Do not, you know. In other words, I can talk about it, but he doesn't want me to read all the things he's went through. And it's not. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just the guy. You can tell he's got such a great spirit. He's got such a great soul. He's not afraid to laugh at himself, and he's went through a lot of the things that most entrepreneurs go through. And as I was reading it, I was just kind of laughing to myself, going, "Oh, this guy, he's great." He's talking about his leases right now. He's looking at all these different leases and how they're gouging them, and so we're going. I'm reading his email, and I started thinking. I said, "Well, you know what?" I says, "I can give if he's watching. I'm not sure if he's who's watching tonight or anything, but I'll go ahead. He watches a stream, I guess, in the mornings." And apparently one morning last week I had mentioned how much I love business, and I that's kind of what I did, and that's what I still do today, is that entrepreneurial spirit. I love being an entrepreneur. And so let me go here. So anyway, I was thinking I'll go ahead and kind of give him some of the tips that I experienced, the things that I did. And one of the challenges he was talking about was leasing. He went to this company that that has the space he wants to put this little restaurant, and they want to do when you do a lease, you typically do what's called a triple net lease, and that's where you pay your prorated taxes and everything. And so he was telling me how much per square foot it is, and it was like $18 per square foot. I think it was 18 triple net. Now what that means is $18 a square foot plus triple net, which is usually several dollars more, $3 to $5 more usually. I mean, it's not cheap, depending on where your space is and what size the plaza or the mall or whatever is. But so he was telling me about this, and I'm just in my head kind of envisioning what his vision was for his restaurant and everything. And but what really kind of, and I want to kind of convey this to him. He was telling me, you were telling me where you wanted to put it, and here's the thing: you're kind of shopping for the best price, okay? And you're going, see, because everything, especially with restaurants, it's location, location, location. So the better your location, the more you're going to expect to pay for your rent and everything. But the thing is, your location that you're mentioning, it doesn't lend itself to the traffic, I don't think, that you're going to need to make this venture successful. With the restaurant, you want to have it in high traffic. You're as nice and new as the facility is and everything, you're not going to have the traffic. And most restaurants are not destination locations. It's not where people wake up and say, "Hey, let's go 22 miles outside the city to go to this restaurant." That's just not that's not typically what happens. So while the facility may be new and it doesn't lend itself to having the support that you're going to need to actually build a successful restaurant. So what I would suggest is look at other locations. That was one of my first, when I was building my, different, venues for the different restaurants, or whether it was a business center or whatever, the first thing I looked for was, and this is actually, even today more than ever, what you're going to find, especially now, you're here locally. So for what I'm telling you, or what I'm telling this person that sent the email is, because you're local, your opportunities here after this hurricane are through the roof. You are in the bargaining seat. You don't have to spend top dollar here right now, where they're rebuilding and they're putting everything, this infrastructure, back in place. You're in the driver's seat. These landlords, see, what most people don't understand, when you have a new shopping plaza, for example, a new plaza opens, and there's these little stores starting to go in. Maybe they got a grocery store for an anchor, or maybe they don't even have an anchor yet. An anchor is usually the bigger store in a plaza that brings in the most traffic, whether it's most of the time it's a grocery store, or it may be something like, if you have a Lowe's or a Home Depot, or, it's just those large footprint stores, Office Depot and that type of thing. But those are typically your anchors for plazas that bring in the traffic. Most of the time, as I said, grocery stores. But when a plaza is new, What people don't understand is that the owners of those plazas, they've got to fill that space up. They've got to fill it up quick. They're going to ask $15, $20. They're going to ask top dollar for it. And there's some people that will pay that because they're new to business. They don't know any better. They want a nail salon. They want their barber shop in there, their studio. They want their photo studio in there. They want their little mom and pop business there, and they don't know any better. And the thing is, they're going to pay the top dollar. Now, what happens, though, if you're the landlord, if you're the person that owns this plaza, the longer it takes for you to fill it up, month after month after month, the longer it takes, the more screwed you become. Because most people don't realize what these landlords can do. Once that plaza is filled and they have signed leases in hand, they can now take those leases and go to the bank and buy, but borrow a large chunk of money on these leases so they can go out and develop more property. So the longer it takes to fill up the plaza, and actually have tenants in there, the longer it takes, the more the plaza is going to sit empty, and they're not going to be able to go to the bank and leverage any of the leases that are there. So many times, when you're a small business, they're more willing to work with you and get you in there to fill it up, and it still counts. If you're signing a decent lease, a 60-month or 72-month lease, or 10 years, depending what you do, those are the ways that you're going to get in an excellent location. For matter of fact, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a plaza, and there's a couple little stores in it, and you want to go in there. The best deal that I would propose, when you're going to give them a letter of intent and say, look, this is what I want, and this is what I'm willing to pay. Now, you're going to go back and forth. But here's the thing. In this economy right now where we are in Panama City, here's why you have the bargaining tool. They're getting insurance money to repair their facility. They're getting money to put into it, and they need to keep it leased and rented out. So if you're looking to go in there, there's a couple things you can do that really help you. Instead of having it to where a lot of landlords, what they'll do is they'll come to you and say, oh, well, we'll give you a build-out allowance. And what a build-out allowance is that's based on, let's say you're going to do 1,000 square foot. The landlord may say to you, okay, here's 1,000 square feet. It's a white box. Basically, it's just like drywall all the way around. There's nothing fancy. And we're going to give you a build-out allowance to help you build it out to what you want. And they say, we're going to give you $10 a square foot build-out. Well, what that means, essentially, is if you've got 1,000 square feet, he's going to give you $10,000 to help you build out the space. Now, let me tell you what that $10,000 does for you. Nothing. It's a waste. You're going to sink so much money into that space trying to get it up. You think you're going to be able to get in and we'll just paint the walls and throw some carpet in, and oh no, you've got to pay for, we need permits, we need inspections, we need this, we need that. All of a sudden that $10,000 is gone. Now, you don't have anything. But let me tell you what you can do that gives you even a better edge in, and this is what I've done in all my businesses. I've literally negotiated. I says, well, here's the deal. I want to be in your plaza. I want to do it, and I want to make sure that it's a win-win for both of us, because if it's not a win for the landlord, it's not a win for you, then guess what? Nobody's going to come to a deal. But if you can create a win-win for both of you, and this is what I would do. I go in and I would say, I want a turnkey deal. I'll give you the specs of how I want it. You build it out, and you make it the way I want it. Give me the certificate of occupancy so I can start moving and start my business, and I'll go ahead and I'll lease from you. And so that's the starting point. I don't take this, but I also ask for what's called FF&E, and I say I also want $15. I usually start a little higher. I usually start around $20 or whatever FF&E. Let's say I'm walking into a 3,000 square foot space, and I start negotiating a turnkey deal. So by the time I'm done, I get a turnkey. They'll build it out. They go through the whole thing to give it to me the way I want. They paint it. They put my carpet in. They do it the way I want at their expense. Why? Because they already have the relationships with everybody, electricians, builders. They've got all those relationships from the people that built this plaza and every other one. So for them, it's pennies on the dollar to have these guys come and do this work. You, it would cost an arm and a leg. For them, because of the amount of business they give these companies, they're going to get a great deal to come out and build it out. So they're going to be able to build out the facility. This is what I'm telling you, is you tell them, I want to build out, I want FF&E of $15 a square foot, and because of the size you need, they're going to come back and they're going to give you $10 a square foot. For those of you that don't know what FF&E is, that's furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. That means this guy's going to give you, the landlord is going to write you a check for, let's say you're getting 1,000 square feet, and you say, I want $15 per square foot FF&E, or $15 FF&E. So he's going to come and give you a check for $15,000. $15,000 cash in your pocket, so you can go ahead and buy some POS systems for your take care of your cash registers and everything. You can buy some desks and furniture, whatever you want. That's your money to spend on the furniture, fixtures, and equipment for your business. That's free money. Most people walk away from that from their landlord. They don't even ask for it. And then, as I said, you never want to get stuck where you're doing, you're getting a, we're going to give you some build-out allowance. You don't want that. Let them do a turnkey deal for you. That's the best way to do it for you. Cheap for him to do, saves you a ton of money. Now, what you're going to have to negotiate with that, and then also another thing that you want to do, which I always do, and this is something that's really essential. When you get you're going to get your, you're going to do your letter of intent. You're going to say, this is all the things I want. But you also want to make sure you add things in there that you really don't want. But, most of the time, like for me, what I do is I tell them I want high-speed fiber internet access. And now 99% of these plazas and businesses that you go in, they don't have high-speed fiber access for the internet. Keyword being fiber. It's so new. They're just not fiber access to be able. But if it's in your contract, when it comes time, and this is what happened in every single one of my locations, we'd go through the build out, they'd get up to a certain point, and they would say, okay, you're almost ready to build, we built it out for you, we got your certificate of occupancy. I'd say, great, and my fiber internet's in, and they say, oh yeah, we're working on that, we're going to get with them, because they always wait to the last minute to do the internet, because that's one of the last things. Well, then they find out it's not available. For them to run it, it's going to cost them $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 if it's available. But the thing is, you've got it in your contract where it's supposed to be in there for you to do it. Now, they've just spent money to build out the place. They've got everything ready for you. And now they really can't come up with what they need to finish this contract. So what I would typically do, I'd say, wow, that's in the contract for a reason, because we want that high-speed access. I need it. So let me, and they'll say, well, we'll split it with you. And you say, no, I'm not splitting that. That's on you guys. Let me talk to my IT guy, and we'll see how it works out. So then you call them back, and you say, you give them a day or two to kind of stew on it. Then you call them back and say, well, here's the deal. My sign, I'm going to need 2 big signs, because I have a corner, of your plaza. I'm going to need 2 big signs on my building. Plus, I want some, you have the big monument signs on the road. Typically, they charge you a premium for the monument signage. You say, so if you give me monument signage for the lifetime of my contract and any extensions, and you pay for the 2 signs on my building, I'll go ahead and we'll take care of the internet stuff. We'll put in what we need and have it run ourselves. And they'll simply say, done deal. Won't even blink an eye. It's a done deal. Your signs, that's $5,000 a piece, $6,000 a piece. So you're going to save, $12,000 on your signs, plus you get signage on the road where everything's visible. All of a sudden, you just saved yourself a butt ton of money, and you make a phone call and have them come in and put internet on there. You call in your Cox company or your DSL company, because 99% of the time it's going to be way more internet bandwidth than you need for your business anyway. So it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a give and take. So when you go in there, you definitely want to negotiate the turnkey deal. You want to put things in your contract that you can negotiate. And a lot of them will come and, a lot of these business owners will come to you and say, yeah, and then you'll read your contract, and it'll say, well, you're responsible for all of the HVAC, that's heating, air conditioning, and everything. And if you agree to that, that means, if you're moving into an older plaza, even a newer plaza, it doesn't really matter. You move into these businesses and their air conditioner on the roof goes out. It's a 5-ton or whatever it is. You're responsible for that. Now, wait a minute. You can't take that with you. If you have to replace a big air conditioner, and after your lease is up or whatever, you can't take that with you. It doesn't work that way. You're stuck, giving them that, because it becomes part of you should never, ever say that you're going to be responsible for their HVAC and everything. That is something that I would never, ever, and I never have. I've never been responsible for it. That's the whole art of being, in negotiations when you put these contracts together. They want you in. They want you in a bad way because let's say, for example, you're going to pay them, $10 a square foot. So let's say you're going to pay them $1,000 a month. We'll just say your lease with them is $1,000 a month. So that means over the course of 1 year, they're going to get $12,000 from you. And let's say you sign a 10-year lease with some extension options or whatever. Now you can get $120,000 or whatever they can make off you in that 10-year period. So your piece of paper, that lease, is $120,000 that they can put in a big bundle with all the other leases, go into the bank and say, look at all these people I got leased in my property, so this is guaranteed income, and they can get money for all those leases. So they want you in their space. They're willing to build out. I had my first business center build out was a little over $98,000. I didn't pay nothing. I was out $1,000 out of pocket for security deposit. That was it. My next business center was I think it was $135,000. Build out and everything. I was out of pocket $1,000 for the security. That was it. The next thing I did was I did a poker club. I did a private social club that cost $248,000. Plus, I had them write me a check for $25,000. So, and that was $1,000 out of my pocket. The restaurant, I went in, I found it, and like right now, there is 30 different restaurants in these areas you could easily walk into. You could walk into any of those businesses because they're already closed. They're no longer in business. They're closed down, but yet they're turnkey. If you look at all the dishes are there. Everything is still there. The people that ran the restaurant just didn't know how to do it. They ran it poorly because if you have a restaurant and it's in a good area, high traffic area, and it fails, it's because you don't know how to run a restaurant. It's no other excuse for it. If you have great food, good idea, good concept, you're in a great area, and it fails, it's because you don't know how to manage your money and run a restaurant. And I'm going to tell you, I got in the restaurant business totally by accident, never wanted to be in it. But I will tell you, once I jumped on board and I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this, I learned the business really quick. I mean, in just a couple months, and we went, once we took it over, we had partners at the time. They're the ones who talked us into it. I was supposed to be the technology guy. My wife was the one who would handle payroll and, screening the employees and all that stuff with the IRS. And the government, making sure they weren't illegals. And so we were handling a whole different part of that business, but we never wanted to be in the restaurant business. But when these people we were in with, it became obvious they didn't know what the hell they were doing. The whole restaurant was only making $18,000 a month, and that was all we were making. It was $1 million restaurant. I had negotiated a killer lease, 5,000 square feet, beautiful restaurant, all completely done. Once again, I was into it for about $1,000, but all of a sudden, we're only making $18,000, and we are packed all the time. And it was just really, they didn't know what they were doing. And once we called them on the carpet, and we were able to get them out, and they just basically said, well, then you take it, and you can have it. We're going to go to California, And they took off, and they signed everything over to us. We spun it into $80,000 a month, from $18,000 to $80,000. If you know how to run a business, if you know what you're doing, trust me, these little things that look like they're hard, they're not hard. You just got to think them through and know all the little ins and outs. Luckily, I knew somebody that had owned multiple restaurants and still to this day owns restaurants. And I went to that person and I said, give me some tips. Let me know. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. I says, I'm thinking about taking this place over because it's a losing proposition if they're involved. And he taught me so much. This guy taught me more in a 2-hour phone call than I could have went through and learned in 5 years in the restaurant business. So you reach out to those people that can help you. But every single time I was in business, it was all about not spending my own money, not borrowing money, leveraging the people and the landlords, because the landlords and those companies, and a lot of these companies are huge companies that have the money. And to them, it's nothing to do a build out for you. But if you do it for yourself and let's say you're going to do a restaurant, do you know what you're going to pay for all your restaurant equipment, to have all your electrical run, to have your fire suppression systems run, to have you got to have your grease traps, you got to have all of that is just a fortune for an individual to try and do. But if you leverage the place that you're at and you work with them and tell them what you want, you don't have to spend any of that. You can actually have the landlord or the development company that owns that facility do it all for you, because all they want, it has to be a win-win. They want a nice long lease, they want a great relationship with you, and they want you to succeed, because if you succeed, they succeed. That's why, I mean, it's really cool to be in business, and I've been doing it for so long, and it's really financing has never been a problem. You know, a lot of people don't understand. You know, there's so many different ways to get money for your business, so many different ways to succeed. There's just as many ways to fail. But anyway, I appreciate your email, and hopefully, if you have any more questions, definitely reach out to me. So, in short, what I guess my advice to you, you were talking about it. My advice to you is the location you picked, I wouldn't go there, even though it's nice, even though it's, you know, wasn't hit from the hurricane. It will take people too long to go out there, and it's as I said, it's not a destination location. People aren't going to go that far to eat the food. You know, especially you can have great pizza, you can have the best pizza in the world, but I'm not going to travel 40 minutes to go there. And then if you're only going to be relying on businesses that are open during the day. You know, these offices that are open during the day. So in other words, your real only market you have is during lunchtime, because nobody eats pizza for breakfast. So these businesses come in, they're not eating breakfast, they're going to eat lunch. So then only how many people are really going to have pizza for lunch? Will it be enough to support you in that? I don't think it will, and I think you'll be a little disappointed. Plus, they're really gouging you with the amount of money they want to charge you. That's not even an option, because your success, and here's another thing, what a lot of people don't realize, when you negotiate your contract, and like for example in Arizona has 4 months out of the year that are super, super hot. So what do you think happens with business during those 4 months? Your business, I don't care what kind of business you have, unless it's something like a water park, I guess, but most businesses, restaurants and haircut places, the business tends to go down in those 4 months out of the year. Now, when you negotiate your contract and your lease, what I do and what I did with all my businesses is I would say, well, here's the deal. Those 4 months are going to be my slow months. I know that. So I'll be making money and you'll be making money. I'll be paying you top rent and we'll be doing this during this time. But these 4 months, I'm going to be impacted very negatively. Even though I have a great location, they're just people are going to stay in the house. They're not going to come out. So during those 4 months, from this month to this month, we want to have an agreement to where we pay a percentage of gross. So in other words, if there is no slowdown in business, we're going to pay you at least up to what our normal rent would be. So if there's no, if there's no impact on our business, there'll be no impact on your rent. However, if there is an impact and we make less than this much money, we'll give you a percentage of the gross that we make. And that way you ride it out with us. So in other words, if we're hurting, you're going to hurt a little bit with us as part of this win-win situation. That's because that's the way companies go out of business. When you're hurting for 4 months and you have to make these high exuberant monthly payments on your lease, and you're not making the money, that can kill you. That can literally put you out of business. And that doesn't do anybody any good. So the thing is, you have to be aware of these things before you go into business and say, look, these are the slow times. And during these slow times, I'll give you a percentage of gross up to the amount of our full rent if we're not impacted negatively. But you've got to think those things through, because otherwise you literally are cutting your own throat by leaving money on the table. You're going to be forced to pay them every month their rent, whether you're doing well or not. And sometimes you can't help it. If it's in the busy season and you're not busy a couple days, you can't help that. But when it's in an off season and things are really tight, you don't want to be paying an exuberant rent. So that's something you want to put in your your contract as well, is that you'll pay a percentage of gross on these certain times if you're in a city or a state where you have certain off times. But I will tell you that there's so many things that most people don't know that you can negotiate in these contracts. All the business owners want, they want somebody who's going to be a great tenant and pay. And all you want is to get into business and be successful and make money. So it's really a win-win situation if you approach it that way and you negotiate that way. And a lot of times you'd be surprised. You just sit down with these people. You don't got to try. I think a lot of times, they try to be too, well, our first quarter we anticipate this, and they try to be too professional when people are starting their business. But a lot of times it just literally is just talk to them like a regular person. Say, look, I got this business. This is what I want to do, and here's what I project, and you're going to find that they're very receptive especially if they love your concept. If they feel that you're, by you putting in, let's just say a nail salon or a restaurant in there, if they feel that, yeah, that would be a great thing for the people in my, restaurant or my area to have, they're going to be just as eager to help you. People want you to succeed. Business owners don't understand that, there are these cutthroat companies that, and I've done things, and I'll be honest with you, when I go to meet with customers or clients, that I'll just call them prospective customers. If I'm going to come into your plaza, and a lot of people say that I would be his customer, but I look at them like I'm interviewing them. And what I'll always do is I will handpick 3 places close by to each other that are by different companies. By totally different companies, and I will go ahead and I will meet with all 3 of them, using the other one for leverage for the one I'm meeting with. So many times, there's been times where I've actually taken. I'll give you a great example. One time, there was a space that had been sitting forever. It was empty. I knew it was empty, and it had been empty for 3 years. And it was a beautiful, beautiful piece of property. And the property that I really wanted down the road was just, the guy was not willing to negotiate. He was just, he thought he was, going to get top dollar for it in a downspinning economy. And I said, good luck with that. Let me know how it works, because I knew it wasn't. So I go back to the one that I wanted, the one that I looked at, and I says, well, here's one that's been on the market for 3 years, still sitting empty. And I went and I got the lockbox combination. I went in, toured, went and looked at the place. And it was amazing. I'm like, man, how can this place just be sitting here for 3 years? Come to find out that the guy that owned it, he had a heart attack and died after building it. I mean, literally, it closed within months after it was sold, to this guy, and this guy built it and everything, and then he died. So it's been sitting empty, and so I approached the company with an offer, and I says, I want to lease this, I want to pay this, I want to do, and they came back to me and said, well, we'll meet with you, so come on down and meet with us. So knowing we were going to have this meeting, I took the other 2 places that I was looking at, and I went home and I put the documents in my computer, and the one guy that had the property that he was just way more than it was worth, I took his documents, and he had down there $28 triple net, for his, for what he wanted. And I already knew what the one property where I was meeting with these people, I already knew what they were looking for because it was in the actual ad how much they were looking for. So what I did is I undercut that by, I think they wanted 15. So this one wanted like 28, and this other guy I was meeting with, he wanted 15 per square foot. So I took the high one of 28, and I doctored the contract, and I put in there $9 a square foot, tripled, so I basically, and I put everything, basically this was a golden contract that said, we're going to give you everything, and what I did is I took that and I put that in my notebook and everything, And my brother would go with me every time we'd have these meetings. He would go and sit at the table across and have lunch while I was meeting with these people. And I would always talk to them, and I'd make reference to other deals when they were talking to me about getting me into their place. I'd say, well, I'm looking down the road, and I mean, they gave me, and I just kind of opened and flashed the contract. And I'd say, they have just given me a killer deal, and I'd shut it, and I'd put my thing down. I'd say, but I don't know if I like the location, but I also like your location more. But then I'd excuse myself a little later, and I'd go to the restroom. Now, when I was in the bathroom, my brother was watching, and every single time, I would just sit in the bathroom until he would text me, and he goes, yep, they looked. They would always take my folder, open it, and look at that contract. And they would look at it and read it, and then they'd put it back and put my book down. Now, you talk about underhanded. You think, God, I was being bad by doing this, but they would never have known unless they looked. So, I never told them what the deal was of the other place and everything. Well, sure enough, I get back to the table and everything, and they say, well, we don't know. There's nothing we can do, and, we might be able to come down a little bit. All of a sudden, it went from not being able to come down to being able to come down a little bit. And then by the time I leave, they're going to call me, and they're going to talk it over with their bosses, and then I get 2 days later, I think I got the phone call, and they were like, yeah, you know what? We're going to be able to go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and be able to meet what you wanted. And they literally took it down to like the $9 and something a square foot, which is where, after sitting for 3 years, I felt that it should be a good starting. So they, the first year at this, the second year, because there is an escalation, for your, but it was funny. So I got the exact deal I wanted. Well, then the guy that had quoted me the $28, he calls me and says, yeah, my boss wants to meet with you. And I said, oh, your boss? Well, yeah, he's the owner of the property. He wants to meet with you, and I wondered if you had some time. So I said, yeah, not a problem. I go down and I go to meet with this guy, and the owner. Now I have the completed contract from the other place that I went to, and they legitimate. This was the one that they sent me to sign. It had everything broke down per square foot, $9 and something per square foot and everything. So I'm talking with the owner of this property, and he says, "Can you tell me, why you are not interested in pursuing it? We have a great, Then he starts to sell it to me. And I pull out this other contract, and I just slide it in front of him, and I hand it to him. And he looks at it, and I go, this is why. I says, I'm getting ready to sign this. I says, I've got a great deal, literally less than a mile away from you, and a much more, traffic area. And he looks, and he starts looking at this contract, and he turns to this, I guess, a broker or whatever, and he says, you know what? He goes, if you'll come here, we'll take this deal. We'll make this happen. And he gives it to us and says, make this happen. So now I'm like, okay, well, that's the area I wanted. That was the original place I wanted to put my business, was this other location. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going back to the other one and telling, because I went back and I explained to them that, I have another offer over there. But they said they couldn't go, for a moment, I considered doing both, but they were just too close to each other. So it was, yeah, and plus you want to actually start your first one, launch it, get it going before you go. So I put that one on hold and everything, and they ended up leasing it probably a year later. But that's the kind of thing, though, you want to put one lease, one landlord against the other landlord if you can. You want to make sure that while it may seem manipulative what I did by doctoring the contract from the one, and it was, absolutely. But you know what? It's not show friends, it's show business, that type of thing. You've heard that old saying. Well, it's business. It's nothing personal. It's business. And if they couldn't do it, they wouldn't do it. But their job is to get the most out of you that they can. They want you to pay the highest rent that you can pay and still operate your business. You, in turn, want to pay as little as you can to run your business there so you can make the most profit. So there is this, it is a kind of a tit-for-tat thing. They want you to pay more, you want to pay less. So what I found is by I in no way presented them that as a legitimate contract. I just left it in my folder and let them look at it. If they would not have been underhanded and looked at it, they wouldn't have come up with a contract that matched it. Now that I had a legitimate contract that matched it, I had no problem showing it to the other guy. So in my book, it was like, look, it's a calculated risk, but I was willing to walk away in any event, so it didn't really matter. So you kind of go with what you're most comfortable with. And in business, I have no qualms about walking away from anything, because I know it's all about location. And even if it's not, even if you don't have the greatest location, but you have something that's special that can bring people there, that's another thing. That's kind of why, if you ever get on if you ever get on YouTube, and you look up Paradise Cove Social Club, you'll see my commercial. I used to run a 30-second commercial for our club. I started this club, and it was a ball. And that I could have put that anywhere. I could put that right now, right down the road here in Panama City Beach, and it would be perfectly legal the way I structure the business. So even though gambling is not allowed, or the way it's structured, it's 100% legal, and I can put that in any state, anywhere, doing it the way I did it, and it would be successful. And it's so much fun. But those are the type of things that when you get into business, you've really got. I mean, I love poker. I mean, I'm a poker player. That's what I do. I love the tournaments. I used to go every year to World Series of Poker. But when I got tired of driving and making that 4.5-hour drive to Vegas, I decided I want my own poker club. So if you ever get a chance, go to YouTube and just type in Paradise Cove Social Club, and you will see the 30-second commercial spot of my club that I used to run. Anytime the World Series of Poker was on, ESPN or whatever, I would run this commercial. I had over 2,000, a little over 2,500 actual members. It was just a phenomenal time. It was a great time. And that's kind of what business is. Anyway, I kind of got off on a rant tonight, but I wanted to make sure that I at least addressed. I appreciate the emails. I mean, I get emails sometimes. They're great suggestions. Mostly it's people suggesting things, and I do take them into consideration. Like, I'm probably going to change the name of the stream, as we roll forward. I'll probably change the theme music, things like that. I do listen to those things because, I don't want people to see the show and think it's a show about, just this. And we're really trying to build something that's kind of fun and just open for everybody to any topic. You want to talk about UFOs, we'll talk about UFOs. Government conspiracy theories, we'll talk about that. That's the kind of show I want. I want a fun show. Kind of like, if you ever get a chance, watch Barnacles. If you ever get a chance, great show, really a great guy. At least I've been watching him for a couple years, and I've watched him progressively. The channel's gotten better and better and better. And then it goes down, and then it gets better and better, and then it goes down. It's kind of up and down. But that's kind of, I think, a lot to do with his personality. He goes through the depression sometimes, and he'll stream a little less. Then I stream a little more. But all in all, great show, and he really is a salt of the earth. His family is very supportive, and a great guy that I've never met him, but you can pick it up off the channel. Anyway, I wanted to come on for at least an hour tonight and kind of stream and just I'm trying to get in the habit of being on time around 7 o'clock or so start time, and really just making sure that when I'm here on what I'm supposed to be. So I do appreciate everybody who came tonight or who's kind of followed me. I have to do the shameless promotion now. If you get a chance, please follow me. Just follow it. I love to know that the people are out there watching. And it just kind of encourages me to keep trying to make the show better and more entertaining. And so if you're out there, follow me. If you're on a different platform and you can subscribe, and I'm not sure how the tips and the bits thing works because I haven't been de-virginized on that, so I'm not sure how all of it works. But if you do that, apparently it'll pop up on my screen, I'm told. So. But please, let me know you're watching. Send an email, povamerica@outlook.com. That's how I get the emails from you guys, and I appreciate them too. All the suggestions I take with a lot. I mean, I take them under very serious consideration because I do want to be better at this. And I'm a brand new streamer. I see these guys streaming their gaming shows and everything, and a lot of fun. And that's what I want. I just want to have a relaxed type of an atmosphere where we have some fun and just talk about whatever. So I'm going to try and cut it short tonight. We'll probably do it. I'm going to try and do about an hour, which I have done an hour already. See, time just clicks by. And I appreciate it, though. So tonight was actually kind of fun just to talk about whatever, but I hope I answered the guy that sent me the email about the business. I probably went a million miles an hour above what you were asking, but as you can see, I have a passion for business because I'm a firm believer. It doesn't matter what, if you have a business idea, it can be successful. There's just no doubt in my mind. This is a huge world, huge planet, huge opportunities everywhere. If you have a business, it's hard to fail unless, what do they say? Most businesses fail because they fail to plan. I heard something like that. They fail to plan, or was it? Most businesses, they don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. That's how it goes. And I got a chuckle out of that because that's actually true. They don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. So don't be one of those guys. Hopefully, write me back, and if you have any more questions, let me know. I can help you. If you need tips on the leases, tips on the property, marketing and advertising, I can help you with that and show you. Everybody thinks that the end-all, be-all is internet advertising and marketing, and it's a great starter, but there's so much more effective ways to advertise and market as well, and I can help you with those if you need. But that's why I love business and poker and all those things. So I'm gonna try and cut it short tonight. We'll be back. I'll do the morning stream in the morning. I'm gonna continue doing the morning streams around 6 o'clock, 6:15, and I'll do the afternoon drive home. I do the live stream coming home, and I'll stay here 7. I'll be here every night at 7 o'clock. We'll do this again, and just. But if you get a chance to check out Barnacles, he's on Twitch. Check out his. I think he's at CES right now. He's at the Consumer Electronics Show. If you get a chance, check him out. Watch his show. Great show. Like I said, I've been watching him for years. Just never really participated. I'm kind of like the guy that sits in the background and just observes. And his show has just gotten better. Sometimes it gets worse. Depends what Jerry's going through. But it's really a great show. A lot of fun. And he's kind of like me. He's a techie. He's a geek. You'll pick it up. He worked for Microsoft for many years. So go check him out if you get a chance. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. We've been over an hour, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the emails. I do respond back to you, and for the guy, as I said, if you're starting your business, that's what I did. That's my background. I business technology and innovation. That's what I love. Send me an email if you need any more help. Hopefully I answered all your questions on that, because I know getting into business is really scary, but believe me, it's easy. Once you've done it, I've done it for the business centers I've owned. I've done it for the restaurants, the computer companies, everything, that even my software development company I have now. Business is not difficult. You just got to accept the fact that no matter what you do, you're going to make a mistake here and there. It's no big deal. You get up and you say, I made a mistake. Oh, my God. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter what that mistake is. It's just business. You're going to do it. It's going to happen. But what I'm telling you before with your contracts, definitely do what I explained to you, and do it that way, because that's going to save you in the end. It's going to save you tens of thousands, if not, a ton of money. Look at what I'm telling you, and if you have any questions, just email me back. I'll touch base with you. But I appreciate you guys. Follow me if you get a chance. I appreciate you watching, and it's good to know that people are watching. And I had my first followers started. They de-virginized me earlier, last week or this week, and I appreciate that. I will definitely be in. I'll see you tomorrow morning about 6:15. Do the live stream on the way to work. My thinking out loud stream, if you will, and then the same thing. I'll do the stream coming back in the afternoon. Do some more thinking out loud, and then I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, and it was a pleasure being with you, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks, and have a great night.